Hi everyone, welcome back to the Toyota Solutions studio. I'm Stephanie Tsai and we are at Women in the World 2018. I think this is the first time we have had a ship's captain, at least that I've interviewed in the Toyota Solutions studio. Madeleine Habib, that is her career, and she is currently with an organization called SOS Mediterranee, whose mandate is basically to keep people from drowning. And of course we're talking about the migrant crisis, which has affected the entire Mediterranean Sea in terms of thousands of people that are trying to flee war zones and other places. It's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for your time.
For inviting me.
I want to get into your humanitarian work, but first tell us a little bit about you and your passion for the ocean. I read that in your early 20s you kind of ran away to the sea and followed your love for the ocean.
I studied journalism, and we could have had our roles reversed here.
No, because I get seasick. So
okay, that would never work. And I went sailing at the age of 22, and it was a really a special moment. I was like, this is it. This is the...
You just went on a sailing trip, like on vacation, or?
With my family, with my stepfather, and it was just in that moment. This is the combination of physical and mental challenge, adventure, the ocean. I just basically packed my bags and started sailing.
And what does that mean, to pack your bags and start sailing?
I had quite a small bag.
You were like, bye folks,
yep.
I'm going to live at sea.
Yep.
And how does one...
2 years later?
Don't you have to have a license? I mean, did you have to learn how to sail and...
It's a learn-on-the-job kind of experience, and obviously I didn't start as a captain. I worked my way up to captain, and I got my first captain's license because I was sick of people asking me if I was the cook. Because I was a young woman on board, there was definitely the assumption that I was the cook, so I just said, okay, I'm going to be the captain.
Yeah. So how long did it take to become a captain?
2 years.
Okay. And
that was my first captain's license, which was a small captain's license for yachts, and now I have an unlimited master's license.
Okay, now what did you do with that? Where did your career go from there?
When I started sailing, I used it as a way to travel the world, to earn a little bit of money, and then I was volunteering for various projects wherever I went. So it was mostly in the environmental sector to start with. And I had a dream, imagine if I worked for Greenpeace. It would be the perfect thing.
They have their own ship, don't they?
They have several ships, and I've been the captain of one.
Okay, now the Greenpeace ships, they sometimes, those folks get arrested, and
yeah.
Did that happen early on?
I have been arrested quite a few
That was
times.
during the Gaza blockade, if I recall.
That was something else.
Yeah.
But I was arrested and deported from the United States in 1997 for a Greenpeace action.
Deported?
Yes.
Where are you originally from?
Originally, I was born in England, but I'm an Australian citizen as well.
Okay. So you went back to Australia after that, or?
Well, they deported me to the UK, but I'm now, thank you very much, permitted back in the United States. And
thank God for women in the world.
Thank God for women in the world for giving me that opportunity to come back. But yes, I have stood up for the things that I believe in. I have climbed on a crane and chained myself to a ship to prevent the harvesting of rainforest timber from the Great Bear Rainforest in Canada, which was being cut down to make newsprint for the Los Angeles Times. And now, thanks to activists such as Greenpeace, such as me, that no longer happens.
Where did the activism bone come? Is that the same place where the love for the ocean came?
I think I was born an activist. I can't remember ever not wanting to stand up for things that I believe in, and I've always felt really passionate about issues. I'm the sort of person who always put my hand up in class and ask the question and demand.
I was that person too. Okay. I mean, the ability though to meld being a ship's captain and social activism is very interesting. Actually there's quite a market for it apparently. Also, if you're willing to work for free, there are plenty of ships out there that are really happy to have you on board. Is that what you do?
I make a mix. Yeah. So I also work on a ship that goes to Antarctica, and I use that experience to generate income so that I can do my social and environmental activism.
Okay, so besides your environmental activism, SOS Mediterranee is very focused on the migrant crisis that's occurring as a result of the Syrian war, as a result of people fleeing other conflict areas. Tell me what your role is within that organization.
On SOS Mediterranee have a vessel called Aquarius, and on board I'm the search and rescue coordinator. So I actually act as a kind of a bridge between maritime and humanitarian by being the coordinator on board. And so coordinating rescues, which are generally conducted near the coast of Libya. Libya has become a funnel for migration. It's an entirely lawless country. It's been in the grip of civil war for 7 years. The government is really not running the country. It's run by this kind of shifting web of armed militias. And now that the border between Greece and Turkey is pretty much closed, that even though that was a treacherous route, it was extremely short. And now people are forced to take the much longer and more dangerous central Mediterranean route, where their lives are in the hands of these armed militias and people smugglers in Libya. So it's not just people coming from Syria. People are fleeing from famine in the Horn of Africa. They're fleeing terrorist groups,
forced
poverty,
conscription, all sorts of,
exactly, and women are fleeing because of female genital mutilation, forced marriage, domestic violence. They have no option. They have no ability to earn a living in their own country, and they all become funneled through this Libyan hell.
Can you take me to the scene of a rescue and how that unfolds? And are the traffickers people that you have to meet and confront?
It can at times be very difficult to determine who is a trafficker and who is the Libyan Coast Guard.
Right.
It's an extremely complex situation. But a rescue could involve, generally we see the boats at dawn, and so we'll be on the bridge of the ship and really focusing and looking to see on the horizon if we can see a boat. When you see a boat, you know that it's time critical, because these boats can literally fall apart at any time. They're extremely flimsy with hundreds of people inside.
They're totally overloaded.
Absolutely overloaded. There is no way that any of those boats could make it to Europe. So if they're not rescued, everybody in the boat drowns. And it's not a romantic or pretty death. It's not the Titanic. It's not like that at all. It's a hideous thing. And people will scramble on top of each other in a desperate bid for survival. And women are 5 times more likely to drown than men in this horrible, horrible Mediterranean
So you
crossing.
see the boat coming up, the light starts to come up.
Yep.
Your ship is quite large.
It is.
And then how does the actual rescue unfold?
We launch rescue boats, small boats, and they have life jackets on board, and a team goes to the migrant boat, and a very important part of that interface is the humanitarian coordinator finding out what the common language is, if there is a common language, and asking the people to be calm and making sure that people understand that we're there to save them, that we are there for them, and that we are going to take them to a place of safety, because a lot of people fear that we're going to take them back to Libya. And if they think we're going to take them back to Libya, people do start jumping in the water, and the boats literally fall apart in front of your eyes, and you just witness these incredibly chaotic scenes. So it's very important that we keep people calm, that they understand that we are there to save them and to take them to a place of safety. That is our mandate.
Where do you take them?
Generally, we take them to Italy, and Italy has the responsibility to ensure that these people are safe and that they receive the medical attention that they need, that vulnerable people are recognised, and that, to be honest, most of them will not receive a refugee status. And many of them will become illegal in Europe, and that's the situation that we need to address.
Yeah, and addressing that situation is a big can of worms, because there's coming from so many different areas, and the source of conflict is not easy to solve, right? What are the people that you see when they get on the ship? Are they hungry? Have they had health care? Are they traumatized? What is the look in their eyes?
There's almost a look of disbelief that somebody is really going to put out their hand and welcome them on board. And when you look someone in the eye that may have been in arbitrary detention in Libya for months, may have been on the road for years, and you say, welcome on board our ship, here's some food, some water, and a change of clothes. There's almost disbelief in some people's eyes.
Like they may have not seen that kindness in a while.
Exactly. And they are traumatized, and many of them do have health conditions that need to be seen to, and we have a MSF, Médecins Sans Frontières, team on board who provide the medical care. And that's a very important aspect of saving the people. But giving people a moment to rest, to wash, to change their clothes, to give them that dignity, and to engage with the people, it's a really special thing to be part of.
How many people do you think you've rescued?
Me personally, I prefer not to put a number on how many people I've rescued because it dehumanizes it. There are thousands of people who have made that journey thanks to SOS Mediterranean. But I would prefer not to think in terms of numbers. I want to remember the faces. I want to remember the people and know that every single person has their own story and that that story is unique to them and they have their own value and they have a right to a place of safety.
And a lot of them are women and children.
Absolutely. There's a huge number of unaccompanied minors and many of the women that we rescue literally have a babe in arms.
That's unimaginable. Let's switch gears for a little bit and talk about what it was like. You kind of mentioned like you wanted to be a ship captain because you didn't want to be viewed as a chef on board. Pretty male-dominated industry, I imagine you're in.
It is. It is a male-dominated industry. And I have to say that I'm continue to be disappointed that that situation's not really changing.
So how many female ship captains do you know?
Who are actually operating as captains.
Yeah.
Or a lot of women will go on and get their license, but to actually be given the command of a ship, that's something else. I know one other woman who's
Just
serving
one
as a
other,
captain.
and you've been in this industry for decades, it sounds like.
Who's currently serving as a captain.
Who's currently serving as a captain. You've said before, quote, you feel like you shine when you're at sea. There's a sense of space, challenge, mystery, and terror. Talk a little bit more about how alive you feel at sea.
The sea is a genuine wilderness, and I really love that. Our idea of wilderness and our chance to experience wilderness in today's world is actually very limited because I'm fortunate I live in Tasmania, so I do have that opportunity on land, but at sea you really are confronted by the wilderness, and your life is shrunk to the size of that vessel, and all of the resources that you have are within those 70 meters or 100 meters or 20 meters, depending on the size of the ship. And you're surrounded by this wilderness. I love it when I can see the horizon all around me. And when you lie on the deck and you look up and it's just this dome of stars. And to know how small you are, that's a really exhilarating feeling for me.
What a beautiful thing that you've been able to combine your passion and your love of the sea and the social causes that you care so much about. Women in the World, I assume this is your first time at the summit. What's it like being around all of these women involved in various social causes?
It's extremely inspiring, and I'd like to say a big thank you to Tina Brown for inviting me. That was really an honor. It caught me very much by surprise. And to be here and to hear these women's stories, these women who are activists, these women who are speaking out about the important issues, makes me very proud to be part of this circle, to be alive today, to be in a moment, but also a little bit disappointed that we're still talking about issues that when I was a child, I remember being told that men and women are equal and that I could do anything, and I just took that ball and ran with it. I didn't listen to anything else for the next 50 years or whatever, but we're still talking about the same issues. Right. I can't believe it that we still need to empower girls. That girls still don't feel that confidence that they can do whatever they want.
I feel like it matters so much, the atmosphere of your family and how you grew up and what messages you received. I mean, obviously you receive messages that you can do anything, and a lot of girls still don't get that message.
Well, we need to spread that message.
Absolutely. Madeleine Habib, it's such a pleasure to hear your story. Thank you so much for all the work that you do and for joining us here.
Thank you very much for having me here this morning, Stephanie. Pleasure.